Movie Frappe, your K-cinema guide.
A single bite turns a luxury train into a rolling coffin. Hello everyone. Today I brought a terrifying Korean zombie train. Are you ready for another unforgettable and thrilling story today? All passengers, please get on board now. Let's go. Movie Frappe, let's begin. A leak at a biolab creates something not quite dead. A roadkill deer stands up with white, cloudy eyes. Nobody knows the virus is already at the train station. But that's not the worst part yet. A girl with a mangled leg collapses in car 11. The train attendant rushes to help. But it's a trap. Screams erupt as teeth meet flesh in a split second. This is just the beginning of a bloody massacre. Seok Woo is a cold-hearted fund manager living in Seoul. He views people as mere numbers and data on screens.
관련 정보 뽑아서 전부 던져.
전부 다요? 그러면 좀 파장이 있을 텐데요.
너 개미 입장까지 생각하면서 일하냐?
His daughter Soo-an feels lonely and ignored by him.
부산, 엄마한테 가고 싶어요.
아빠 시간 좀 나면 다음에.
아니요, 내일요. 맨날 다음이라고만 하고 또 거짓말이잖아요.
For her birthday, she begs to visit her mother. Seok Woo reluctantly agrees to take the KTX to Busan. The station feels strange.
놀래라. 소아 괜찮아?
Filled with distant, eerie screams.
진이다. 진이 안녕.
야,
A mysterious girl jumps onto the train at the last second. Her movements are twitchy, and her skin looks gray. The train departs, leaving the burning city far behind. But they are already too late to stay safe inside. The girl bites a female attendant in the dark corridor. The infection spreads faster than a wildfire in summer. Passengers watch as their friends turn into mindless monsters. Seok Woo grabs Soo-an and looks for a safe car. Chaos erupts as people scramble over seats to escape. Blood stains the glass windows of the high-speed train. Seok Woo shuts the door on a struggling, pregnant woman.
This moment defines exactly who Seok Woo is. He sees risk and shuts the door. No hesitation, no emotion. That's how he survived his career. As a fund manager, every decision is calculated. You protect assets by cutting losses early. You don't wait, you don't gamble. You act fast, or you lose everything. That mindset follows him here. But that's not the worst part yet, compared to what's about to happen to him.
야, 이거 어떻게 잠궈?
그 사람들 문 열 줄 모르는 것 같아.
사람이 뛰어오는데 코앞에서 문을 닫아?
말 조심해요. 당신만 위험했던 거 아니니까.
The train is now a high-speed prison with no exits. Monsters are breaking through the glass every single second. Seok Woo realizes he cannot protect Soo-an all by himself.
This train is no longer a place, it's a trap. There's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Every door leads to danger. Every second feels shorter. The infected don't stop. They don't think. They just break through. Glass shatters again and again. The sound never ends. People start losing control. Panic replaces logic. Breathing feels harder. And slowly, this train turns into a nightmare you can't wake from.
흔들리지 않고 우리 모두가 정부를 믿고 슬기롭게 극복하는 데 역량을 모아나가야 할 때입니다. 국민 여러분의 안전에는 이상이 없을 것입니다.
The news anchors call the chaos a simple riot. The government reports injuries on both sides officially, but in reality, zombies are tearing the city apart. The media insists that all citizens are currently safe. As they speak, the infected are hunting for blood. Information is strictly controlled to maintain social order. The screen shows peace, but the world is ending.
For many Koreans, this scene feels painfully familiar. It echoes moments of deep public distrust. One memory is the Gwangju uprising in 1980. Violence against citizens was framed as civil unrest. For years, the full truth remained buried. Another wound is the Sewol ferry tragedy in 2014. Students were told to stay still and wait. Safety was promised, but hundreds never returned home. That moment shattered public trust forever. In Korean memory, official words can feel haunting. The real horror is not only the monsters outside, it is the comforting lie spoken on television. Survival begins when people question what they are told. Do not trust the screen. Watch what is happening in the shadows.
저희가 너 할머니면서 언니가 앉아.
할머니 여기 앉으세요.
수아나, 이럴 때 안 그래도 돼.
뭘요?
양보 말이야. 지금 같은 때는 자기 자신이 제일 우선이야.
우리 할머니도 맨날 무릎 아파했는데.
The train finally reaches Daejeon Station, but it's eerily quiet. The conductor announces that the military has secured the area.
네, 서 팀장님.
내가 지금 대전 들어가는 KTX 타있거든?
KTX요? 서 팀장님, 대전 오시면은 아마도 일단은 격리되실 겁니다.
그럼 나랑 우리 딸만이라도 따로 좀 부탁하자. 어?
Seok Woo calls a contact to find a secret escape route. He plans to save only himself and Suan from chaos.
Seok Woo's mindset feels very familiar. He's not evil, he's just realistic. Shaking out the weak to protect yourself. That logic follows him into this crisis. He chooses his daughter and no one else. To him, that's not selfish, it's survival. But his daughter sees it differently. She doesn't understand this cold logic. She still believes people should help each other, and that clash is where the real story begins.
Passengers step off the train with hope in their eyes.
그만 신경 쓰고 가자.
뭐해? 빨리 와.
어디 가요?
우리 이쪽으로 갈 거야.
우리만요?
상태만
사람들한테
지켜봐.
말해줄래요?
수아나, 신경 쓰지 마. 그냥 각자 알아서 하는 거야.
아빠는 자기밖에 몰라. 그러니까 엄마도 떠난 거잖아요.
They walk down the empty escalator toward the main hall. Suddenly, a line of soldiers appears at the far end. But their uniforms are torn and soaked in fresh blood. One soldier turns around with a horrifying, bone-chilling scream. The rescue team has already been turned into monsters. Panic explodes as hundreds of infected soldiers charge forward. Seok Woo realizes the entire city has fallen into ruin.
Seok Woo knows exactly what he did. Just moments ago, Seok Woo shut the door. He chose himself. Now everything is reversed. He's the one being chased. Death is right behind him. But instead, Sang-hwa is holding it. Even now he doesn't move. He waits until the very last second.
They scramble back toward the train for their lives. Sang-hwa uses his bare hands to fight the undead army. Seok Woo barely manages to pull Sang-hwa into a closing door, but the group is split between several different cars now. Sang-hwa and Seok Woo are trapped far from their families. What nobody notices is that the next station is blocked.
안 돼요, 내 친구도 아직 안 왔어. 여기 있는 사람들은 살아야 될 거 아니야. 안 그래?
기장님, 출발해 주세요.
The locomotive is heading straight into another deadly trap. Fear starts to turn the survivors against each other, and this is where it gets uncomfortable for everyone.
Korean zombies are clearly different from Western zombies. They don't move slowly. They explode with speed. There's no warning, no time to think. In many Western films, zombies are slow, but constant. You can plan, you can fight back. But here, everything is instant. 1 second changes everything. That speed creates panic. And panic breaks people faster than fear. That's why survivors turn on each other. Because in this world, hesitation means death.
자기야. 화장실? 어느 화장실? 몇 호카?
아니에요? 괜찮대?
13호 화장실에 있대. 건너가려고?
Seok Woo, Sang-hwa, and Jung-guk must cross 4 infected cars.
자, 내 칸만 가면 돼. 내가 선두.
Their loved ones are crying for help in the bathroom. The trio only has baseball bats and rolls of duct tape.
나와.
The train enters a dark tunnel. They realize the zombies react to sound, not just sight.
여긴 더 많네 이래. 핸드폰 좀 줘봐요.
Suddenly, a phone vibrates on the floor near a zombie. The creature twists its head with a bone-snapping sound. Sang-hwa holds his breath as the monster sniffs the air.
This isn't just a rescue anymore. This is a father running toward his daughter. Seok-woo is risking everything now. Just hours ago he would never do this. He would calculate first, measure the risk, and protect himself. But now he moves without hesitation, just like Sang-hwa. Something changed inside him, not because the world got worse, but because he finally sees what matters. His daughter's voice echoes in his mind. He is no longer the selfish man he was this morning.
They start crawling over the seats in total silence. Every breath feels like a thunderclap in the quiet cabin.
내 덕분에 네 딸내미 다시 만난 기분이 어때? 뭐 감사해? 뭐 어떻게 돼?
최악의 뱃소리가 그게 뭡니까?
너 네 딸이랑 많이 못 놀아주지 바빠서. 네 딸이 좀 더 크면 네가 왜 그렇게 기를 쓰고 사는지 알게 되지 않겠냐? 아빠들은 원래 맨날 욕 먹고 인정 못 받고 그래도 뭐 희생하고 사는 거지 뭐. 그래? 뭐야 그 눈빛은? 말이 좀 멋있냐? 어?
Traditionally, Korean fathers were silent pillars at home. They spent their lives in quiet sacrifice. Love came through hard work, not warm words. That silence often left them lonely at home. Success became his language. But his family still felt alone. Seok-woo reflects that traditional father figure, but Korean fatherhood is changing now. Sang-hwa reflects that new generation. Today's Korean fathers value connection over authority. They are open, warm, and deeply involved. The cold provider is slowly disappearing. In his place stands a caring father. Korean fatherhood is becoming active love. Sang-hwa is strong, but deeply gentle. He protects, but he also nurtures.
뭐라고요?
제 친구가 저쪽 칸에 있었는데 일로 넘어온대요.
누가 저 괴물들을 뚫고 감염 안 된 거 확실해?
감염되는지 안 되는지도 모르는데 여기로 들여보내자고?
They try to reach the other survivors ahead, but the next carriage is packed with zombies. Every path forward looks completely impossible. Then they spot one desperate way through. They climb onto the overhead luggage racks and slowly slide across the danger below. One wrong move means instant death. Even breathing feels dangerously loud here. Seok-woo's hands begin to shake badly. Fear starts creeping into his mind, and suddenly he remembers why he must survive. But then everything changes in seconds. The tunnel ends much sooner than expected. Sunlight floods in, and the zombies wake up instantly. Now Seok-woo runs like a man possessed. He sprints with death chasing right behind him. He reaches the survivors at last, but nobody opens the door. Fear has already poisoned their hearts, and selfish survival begins taking over everyone. Humanity's ugliness is now on full display in the car, but they are already too late to reason with fear.
This is the peak of human cruelty. The fear of the other is stronger than empathy. They aren't keeping out zombies, they're keeping out life. In a crisis, the group protects itself by killing others. This is the Hell Joseon mentality at its worst. The lock on the door is actually in their hearts. You're only safe as long as you are useful. The humans are scarier than the monsters.
야 빨리 좀 열어봐! 안 열리자고요! 그냥 부셔!
And then, the door they must cross breaks open. Sang-hwa chooses to hold the zombies back alone.
오지 마 성경! 가! 가 이 새끼야 빨리! 우리 성경이 좀 부탁한다. 어?
Sang-hwa stands alone between death and survivors. He knows this fight cannot end well. Still, he charges forward without 1 second of fear. His fists become the final wall against monsters. Every second he buys is paid with blood. Thanks to Sang-hwa's sacrifice, they reach the next carriage alive, but something even worse waits inside.
왜 갔어 왜? 다 들어올 수 있었잖아. 이 새끼 감염됐어. 이 새끼들 다 쫓아내야 돼.
저쪽에서 오신 분들 아무래도 저희랑 함께 있을 수 없을 것 같습니다.
빨리 가!
They treat the exhausted survivors like dangerous outsiders. Then they force them into another isolated carriage. The zombies are terrifying, but humans feel colder here.
They lock the door and shut out humanity. Their eyes hold terror, but also ugly selfishness. At that moment, one old woman sees everything clearly. Not the zombies, not death, human cruelty. She whispers words heavier than any scream there. I refuse to live like those heartless people. Then she opens the door with trembling hands. She chooses death over a selfish life. The monsters rush in like judgment itself, and suddenly the real monsters become painfully obvious. It was never only the infected outside.
The train is forced to stop at East Daegu due to a massive wreckage.
승객 여러분께 알려드립니다.
우리 열차는 현재 전방 선로가 차단된 관계로 저는 이 방송이 끝나는 대로 바로 운행 가능한 열차를 좌측 끝선로 위에 올려놓겠습니다.
A burning locomotive slams into their track, causing a huge explosion. Dust and fire fill the air as survivors crawl out of the debris. Hundreds of zombies start falling from the station glass ceiling. They rain down like a nightmare from a twisted horror film. Jung-geuk and Jin-hee are cornered in a dark, narrow corridor. He tries to fight them off, but his friend has already turned. He chooses to stay with her until the very end. Seok-woo finds a working engine on a separate, clear track. He finally pulls Soo-an and Sung-kyung onto the moving platform, but a cluster of zombies grabs onto the back of the train. Their weight slows the engine down, dragging it back into hell. Seok-woo kicks them off one by one with desperate strength. They think they are safe, but a shadow moves inside the cab. It is the villain, Dong-seok, now a mindless, gray-eyed beast. The final battle for the future of the survivors begins now. And this is where the ultimate price must be paid.
This final fight is more than survival. It is a clash between two human choices. Dong-seok represents the darkest form of selfishness. He sacrifices others to save himself until the end, but Seok-woo finally discovers what truly matters. He's no longer cold or driven by success. He chooses to protect the future at any cost. The monster Dong-seok becomes reflects his broken soul. In the end, our choices define who we become.
A-5 Seok-woo fights the infected Dong-seok on the edge of the engine. Seok-woo manages to throw the monster off the speeding train, but he looks down and sees a dark bite mark on his hand. The virus is already pulsing through his veins like black ink. He knows he only has a few minutes left as a human. He takes Soo-an and Sung-kyung to the controls of the train. With shaking hands, he explains how to use the emergency brake. Soo-an cries and clings to his arm, begging him to stay. "You have to go on without me," he whispers softly. He remembers the very first time he held her in the hospital. A warm, human smile appears on his turning face. He walks out to the back of the train, away from his daughter. The bright morning sun hits his face for the last time. His shadow falls off the platform as he lets go of life. The train continues to glide toward the final destination, Busan. Soo-an's screams echo across the empty, desolate tracks. He died not as a fund manager, but as a father. This is the ultimate redemption for a soul that was lost. The monster is gone, and only the hero remains in memory.
The journey ends at a dark tunnel, the border of Busan. Suan and Sung-kyung walk into the darkness, hand in hand. Soldiers wait with rifles, unable to identify who is coming. A single song begins to echo, saving them from a tragic end. Train to Busan is a masterpiece that redefined the zombie genre. It uses the narrow space of a train to create maximum tension. The symbolism of the train represents a society that never stops. We are all racing towards something, but we forget why. This story is not about zombies, it's about people, about choices under pressure. Seok-woo begins selfish. He ends as someone else. That transformation is the real journey. The train represents society. Closed, moving, no escape. When crisis hits, true nature appears. Some choose fear, others choose sacrifice, and that choice defines everything. After the film ends, one question remains. What would you choose? Director Yeon Sang-ho tells stories of society, not just individuals, systems, fear, collapse. He shows how fast things break and how rare true humanity is. This film asks if you would save a stranger in a crisis. The emotional aftertaste is a mix of grief and survival hope. What remains after the credits roll is a question of love. If you were on that train, would you have survived the darkness? Director Yeon Sang-ho shows us that monsters aren't just zombies. The real monsters are the ones who lack empathy. You might recognize Gong from Squid Game, but here he delivers his most heartbreaking performance. If the world ended today, who would you save? A father's love is the only thing the virus couldn't kill. Thank you for joining this emotional journey today. A daughter's song proves that humanity can never be silenced. If you had to choose one person to survive with, who would it be? Seok-woo or Sang-hwa? Share your thoughts in the comments. That's the story for today. If you want more Korean stories like this, make sure to subscribe. I'll see you in the next story.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Movie Frappe for more K-cinema guides.